It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of all modes of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our country, Africa, and the rest of the world. Transport Line is being beamed to you from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's second largest economy, Lagos. I am Shino Ilegbede. Thanks for being part of the program. The frequency of both mishaps and road mishaps in the first quarter of this year has really sent ripples down the spines of commuters and, of course, transportation experts. Transport Line has really gone deep to look at the issue and see that we need to search, in fact, reinvent our wheels to be able to find solutions that will quickly nip in the bud this frequency of road mishaps and inland boats mishaps too. So today I have with me in the studio a transportation expert and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport in Nigeria to more or less look deep into this issue of frequency of both mishaps and road mishaps. Recall that I think about tail end of February this year, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy set up a committee to look at how we can really quickly find solutions to these inland waterways both mishaps. What about road? Unfortunately, road mode of transportation in Nigeria has specifically no minister overseeing it. Yes, you look at it deeply, there is no minister overseeing road mode of transportation in Nigeria. And we tell you the number of lives that have been lost daily, maims, because of many reasons. But today, we want to reinvent the wheel and see how we can look at it. And we found out that there are two bodies known as, one, motor boys and deckhands. What really are their roles in this issue of frequency in road mishaps and boat mishaps in Nigeria? Shola Ogunyakin, a transportation expert, is going to more or less champion the discussion on this aspect. Shola, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir.
Shola, we talk about motorboys as regards road mode of transportation and deckhands as regards inland waterways transportation. But let's start with road mode of transportation. Motorboys. What is the genesis? Who are motorboys?
Okay, motorboys are those guys that follow large, high-capacity truck vehicles. They're usually to assist the driver in changing tires, checking that the vehicle is properly loaded, tying the load, tying tarpaulin, especially during this rainy season. They tie tarpaulin, they do all manual labor, ensure that the jack and everything, in some long distance drivers have two petrol tanks that are not linked. So when they stop over, motorboy is supposed to get the fuel from the reserve tank to the main tank. And those are the little things that they do. So if there is a breakdown, the motorboy stays while the driver gets the mechanic to come. But basically they are to do some manual jobs on the trucks, particularly changing tires, tying load. Then you can see on some streets, some very high vehicles will have a stick in case when they are passing through where the electric cables
yes.
The motorboys are the ones you see that will lift
the
cables up so that so those were basically the functions of the motorboys. But in Nigeria, there is no proper training school for trailer drivers for truck drivers of any sort. So it becomes an apprenticeship scheme. So that is different from what it is elsewhere. In Nigeria, the motorboy becomes an apprentice, and that's where the problem is. So instead of them to go to a proper training school to learn driving these trucks, they actually join to be a motorboy, not just to perform the motorboy functions, but to learn driving. So, and that is where the problem is. So because there are no proper training schools for truck drivers, and motorboy system becomes an apprentice scheme for them to learn driving. So they start learning driving. So the driver now start teaching them driving when they are not loaded. And that is where the accident comes. So when the driver now thinks that he has confidence in the motorboy, he can now leave the vehicle to him over short distances at first. And unfortunately, these motorboys graduate to become drivers without going through any proper training. Some of them cannot even read road signs. But yes, they could handle the vehicles. So, and that's the beginning of the whole problem of truck accidents. Majority of those truck accidents are when the motorboys that have not been fully trained are driving the bus. And the habit of these long distance drivers, they have some very, very funny habits. Some of them have girlfriends in all the major stops. For somebody that is going from Lagos to Kano, they may have a girlfriend in Ibadan, in Ogeri. Then before Oyo, there is another trailer park. They might have another person there. By the time they get in close to Mokwa, if they take that side, they will have somebody there. Or if they are passing through Mina or the other side, they will have. By the time they are getting to Kaduna, they have their place. So for everywhere they stop. So sometimes, because I've witnessed accidents, I've had reasons to investigate accidents and find out what happens. So for example, the driver takes the vehicle to Ogeri here and decides to spend some time with his friends, so to say. And when it is in the morning, maybe he's tired or something. He says, motorboy, take this vehicle to Ibadan. I'll join you in 1 hour or 2 hours. Knowing that the vehicle will be going much slower. And these are the times that these accidents occur. So the motorboy now takes charge of the vehicle. He's driving to Ibadan, loaded. The driver is enjoying himself in Ogeri. So a lot of times they might do it and get away with it. By the time the guy gets to Ibadan, say, okay, you're sleeping in Ibadan. So the driver will now join public transport or join another truck and meet him up in Ibadan and then continue the journey. But if an accident happens, you find out that the person that drove that vehicle doesn't have any papers, no driver's license, nothing. So insurance won't even pay because you can't provide. So in most cases, there is a cover-up. The accident will not be reported on time until the driver gets there, so that the driver can claim
he was responsible.
Yes. So that is why a lot of times they say an accident happened if it is fatal that the driver escaped. Most of the time it's the motorboy. So the motorboy will just disappear and tell the driver this thing has happened, or don't show face. Then they will go and report in police station. So that's the problem. The problem actually is because we do not have a proper training mechanism and no proper certification. What road safety is doing is, I have said it over and over again. If I present myself as a truck driver to road safety, what would road safety test me with? What are they going to test me with? They are going to say I should bring my truck. They don't do that. The only institution that has training for high-capacity drivers is Lagos State...
Drivers Institute of what?
Not Lagos State Transport Services Limited.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. They are the only school that is certified, at least in this Southwest that I know of, that can train people to drive high-capacity buses. No other person has.
Okay, Shola, before we move forward, you've raised two fundamental issues. The issue of not having the certified correct paper, veto driver's license, the issue of having the practical experience. But today they say they have simulator. We'll come to that, whether that will substitute. But what really are, some people have argued that, look, the prerequisite of obtaining license for, is it not class G or whatever?
Yes, G.
For articulated is so enormous that you really had to be really considerate and dogged to be able to obtain the license because of the system we run, which is warped. Say owó ní èjẹ. So what they do is they more or less give this along the way. At the end of the day, you end up getting the paper without being properly tested. These are some of the issues that has contributed to when you have container loading trucks falling on what do you call it, vehicles, high capacity truck falling from the bridge. You have articulated vehicles not being properly latched, and the driver, knowing that he's carrying a wet cargo, doesn't know how to manipulate the vehicle. These are the issues. What is the solution?
Again, the solution is government insisting, and the laws are there for you to get a class G license. Unlike every other license, even from class E license, you do an eye test. So there must be your eye test. If you are supposed to be driving with glasses, it will show that you're supposed to be driving with glasses. You will do some other tests. Your diabetic level must be known, because we know that when you're driving long distance vehicles, you will be sitting long hours. I mean, for most of those vehicles, you will be required to sit long hours. And if you are diabetic, sitting long hours is another problem. Now, not being able to see clearly also is another problem. So those are the things that road safety has put into the process of obtaining a professional license, which is necessary, which I think is the best you could ask for. But what now happens is, number one, can the average job seeker afford the cost of these tests? This is the first question. So I'm looking for a job. I want to be a driver. I want to be a professional driver. The class of people, because you know, driving in itself is stigmatized. It is just in recent years that people come out and say, I am a driver. Before, for you to say you want to go and learn driving, in this part of the world, it is regarded as the least of all jobs. So the people that are attracted to it are being stigmatized. So nobody really wants. So the high-end, high-class, intelligent people don't want to be seen as a professional driver. So that leaves who really wants to be a professional driver. Now, can they afford to pay for the diabetic test, to pay for the eye test, to pay for the blood test and all your blood, what they call it now, hypertension, all those tests? Road safety wants to see it, to see that, yes, you are stable. So you can't have a heart attack on the road while you are driving. So all those things, if you are on medication, you have to show road safety. Those are the prescriptions for getting a professional license. But the question still remains, can they afford it? So if the road safety themselves decide to be stopping all the trucks that are on the road today, what percentage of those drivers actually have the qualifying driver's license to drive those buses? So they just get a D license, which you can use to drive any car and that's what majority of them drive with. Because if road safety decides to enforce that people that are driving, you will find out that more than 3/4 of the trucks would be off the road. So, but that is where we have to go back to. But you know what happens to trailer drivers in Nigeria? The moment they start that enforcement, you will see the whole road blocked. Because what the law says is, if you don't have a qualifying driver's license, they're supposed to take the vehicle from you there and then. But by the time you see 10, 15, 20 trucks, the whole road will be blocked. And that is why they are being treated special. But government must find a way to get these guys to training. Because that's where the problem is. The training is not there. They are learning from the way I learned as a motor boy.
Which really is not the professional way.
Yes. Then I will now get another motor boy and I will train that person.
The
so,
same
so we
process.
have a bunch of truck drivers.
Ill-trained drivers.
Ill-trained. Ill-trained.
I think, Shola, if we just look at the quantum of the problem we see, and we thought, oh, it's too big to be handled, the earlier we start facing it.
The better.
We should start doing it gradually. And this is a clarion call to all those traffic law enforcement agencies to be steadfast in making sure that it's not a cookie jar, because before you know it, will be an avenue for people to get themselves quick money. No. Gradually, I know a oil company, they say they want graduate
Yes.
who end with HND.
Yes.
But driving high capacity vehicles go beyond all these certificates. And that brings one to the issue of stimulator. Is it an alternative?
You see, interestingly, Lagos Bus Services Limited have a set of stimulators, and I've been to the Lagos Drivers Institute at Oshodi. I've seen the stimulators, I've had opportunities of sitting on them. The stimulators are good. The only difference is Nigerian roads are not uploaded on the stimulators. So you will see all other scenarios that is possible. Is
No Okada coming from anywhere, no Keke
Okada
Napep.
is not in the...
Yes, Keke Napep,
Napep
pedestrian that just from nowhere, that's the road,
exactly.
that's into
But
the road.
every other thing, if you are driving in Europe, if you are driving in very sane climes, yes, the simulator would bring all possible scenarios except the one that is happening in Lagos especially. The scenario of driving in Lagos is not there. People blatantly disobeying, driving against traffic, those are the scenarios you will not find in the simulator. The potholes, the special potholes made for Nigeria, you will not find them in the simulator.
So how do you manipulate?
So every other thing, fine. So what I'm saying is our Nigerian scientists should find a way to write those programs into the simulator. Otherwise, fine, you could actually learn driving using the simulator if you spend enough time there. Yes, you see different conditions as programmed in. But when it now comes to the real life situations in Nigeria, somebody has to sit down and write that program so they can be fed onto the simulator so that it can improve the efficiency of the simulator. Otherwise, fine, there's a very large extent that you will drive. It's just that the madness on Lagos roads and the potholes in Nigeria, you won't find it on the simulator. And it's key, because that's the environment you're training people to drive on. So they've got to understand what happens in the environment. And it's key.
Shola, I recall the days when we were young, the Lagos Municipal Transport Services, before they employ you as a driver, even if you come with a government-graded GD license, they will still train you. And they have buses specially marked to train. Gradually, they phase all this out under the guise of not really no money for political reasons. Because I want to put my relations there, I want to put my brother there without having the requisite.
Well, it does happen, but as with Lagos bus services, they have vehicles that you will just see it, demonstrator. It's simply for training. And that's why I applaud Lagos State. Whatever Lagos State is doing, they always make sure they are near perfection. So apart from the Drivers Institute, which even all the drivers get certified with, there are dedicated buses just for training. The problem with enforcing what we have said before is road safety is when a driver commits an offense, it is the driver that is asked to pay for it. Now, it will change if the owners are made to pay. So you've given somebody that is not qualified a vehicle to run with. So the person has committed an offense. It's not just the person that committed the offense that should be paid. There should be a fine on whosoever
That
is
employed
that person.
employer of that person.
Yes, when that one is being done, and it should be a heavier fine.
And a big deterrent.
Yes, than what the actual person driving should pay.
Whoever, government should make sure that the employer of the driver too should pay the largest chunk of the fine. That way, it will be a big deterrent, and for them to see that their driver's employee is well trained. You spoken about Ogere to Ibadan, for instance, and that really brings one to the issue of transit park. You see, you have many road mishaps where you find out that people are not really making use of it. The facilities are not there. I could recall in those days when you have buses going from Lagos to Abuja, when the environment was very, very secured. In fact, you have night buses.
Yes.
You can safely take night bus. Day bus now, you are on your own. Well, Shola, I want to thank you again for finding time to come on the program. It's too glaring. Everybody has a role to play, not only government, you and I. But I tell you, time is still hard. Before we draw the curtain, we all know that the foods are there, but the purchasing power is not there. So that means hunger is still on the land. Be your brother's keeper. Even where you cannot assist, please make sure that your response does not demean that person. Be compassionate. Compassion is the key word. That way, we have a better society. Till next time, bye-bye for now.